That same day, Miss Innie from CPS watched the video and closed her office door quietly. She pulled out an old photograph of herself as 5 years old, her scalp badly burned by a chemical her own mother had used to straighten her hair. She had scars to these days. She knew what she had to do, but her heart was no longer sure it wanted it. Junior began to draw eerie images of fire and monster with human faces. Evelyn pressured the media to paint Ada as a hero, but the truth is more complicated. A lawyer takes the case pro bono, but begins to question if Ada is emotionally fit for motherhood. Junior's father resurfaced with an agenda. CPS must make a life-altering recommendation, reunite or remove. The crayon were new, a gift from a charity group that had visited the world with goodie bags and motivational quotes. Junior held the red crayon carefully, his fingers still shaky but steadier than yesterday. He didn't speak, not yet, but he could draw. Nurse Fowler crouched beside him as he dragged slow strokes across the paper. A house, a boy, a woman, then flames, thick red and orange scribbles around baby's hair. Then a black figure standing nearby with a sharp teeth and eyes that looked like a fire. She stared at the drawing. Junior, is that you? The boy nodded slowly. And this person with teeth, who is that? He turned to look at her, mouth slightly parted, but again no words came. Then he took a blue crayon and circled the figure, not the flames, and wrote one shaky word with immense effort. Mommy. The hospital reception was buzzing that afternoon when a tall man in a warm baseball cap and a nervous smile walked in. I'm here to see my son, Junior Oko. The nurse at the desk blinked. Are you the father? Yes. His name is Junior, after me. I'm John Oko. I've been in Lagos. I just saw the story on social media. I came as soon as I could. He brought out a crumpled birth certificate. The nurse called security just to be sure, but his ID checked out. An hour later, he stood in front of Junior's bed, his face softened. My boy. But Junior didn't respond. He blinked, titled his head, but there was no recognition in his eyes. My mother, summoned by a nurse, froze at the door when he saw him. You? She breathed. You left us. I made a mistake, but I'm here now. You don't you don't get to show up when the cameras come. She snapped, her voice raw with pain. I'm not here for cameras, he replied. I'm here to make things right. Meanwhile, outside, Mrs. Evelyn Jocko was holding her third press conference in 2 days, casting Ada as a brave, misinformed mother trying her best against impossible odds. But inside the hospital, CPS officers were holding private meetings with neurologists, psychologists, and lawyers, and the reporters weren't glowing. Miss Innie sat at the head of one such table. Emotionally, this mother is unraveling. She may love her son, but we have to ask, is love enough? The room fell silent. Next week, she said, we will need to submit a formal recommendation to the court, reunification or protective foster care. Junior has a panic attack when he sees Ada approach, triggering a CPS investigation into trauma response. A custody battle begins between the long-lost father and the mother who never stopped praying. The court assigned a child psychologist who uncovers a shocking suppressed memory in Junior. Evelyn's media machine began to collapse under scrutiny, and the hidden truth began to leak. It was just a visit, supervised, quiet, controlled. Two nurses stood by. Miss Innie observed from behind the glass. My mother was finally allowed into the room again. After 3 days of separation, she held her breath as she approached her son. Junior, Mommy is here, my baby. The moment he saw her, Junior froze, his body stiffened. The crayon in his hand dropped. Then, screaming, a raw animalistic cry tore from his chest. He scrambled backward on the bed like she was the devil herself, knocked over the juice on the tray, pulled out one of the IV lines in panic. Nurse rushed in. My mother stood paralyzed, a hand over her mouth. Why? She whispered. Why is he afraid of me? Miss Innie had seen enough. She stepped back from the window, her voice tight as she turned to the accompanying CPS staff. This isn't just guilt. This is trauma. His nervous system is associating her with danger. We can't ignore this anymore. The court-appointed child psychologist, Dr. Amaka Nduka, came in the next morning, calm, firm, compassionate. She didn't push Junior to talk. She simply played, drawed with him, and watched. One day, too, she brought a dollhouse. He touched nothing but the red crayon. On day 3, he finally whispered one word, "Hot." "Hot where?" she asked gently. He pointed to his cap. She nodded. "Yes, you remember that." He, he nodded again, eyes brimming. Then more words broken and low. She said, "Be strong." But it burned. It burned inside. It not stop. His hand began to tremble. And then she covered me. I screamed. She said, "Sleep, sleep." I sleep. But monsters came. Amaka kept her voice steady. "Junior, what did the monster look like?" He didn't answer. He just reached for his crayon and drew the black figure again, this time holding a bottle. Across town, in a modest law office, Barrister Kunle Lawal, the pro bono attorney representing Ada, stared at the latest CPS report, the psychologist's note, the drawing, the video of the panic episode. Kunle sighed, rubbing his temples. He had believed in her, still did, but belief was no match for evidence. She wasn't a criminal, but maybe she had done too much damage to fix. He picked up his phone and called Evelyn in Joko. "We may need to change strategy. If the push is for full custody now, and we could lose everything, even visitation, right?" There was silence on the line. Then Evelyn spoke. "Let the court take the child, if they must. But make sure the story ends with her as a mother who tried, not a monster who failed." The custody battle began. Father versus mother in court. While Junior watches from a fragile distance. A surprise witness changes everything. Junior draws a new topic, and this time it tells a story no one was ready to hear. CPS is forced to choose not just between parents, but between past mistakes and present healing. The courtroom was packed. Journalists, NGOs reps, hospital staff, CPS officials, curious spectators, all watching, judging. At the front sat Judge Rita Osei, firm but fair, known for favoring child safety over sentiment. On the right, John Oko, the long-lost father, in a stiff jacket and tie he hadn't worn in years. His lawyer painted him as the stable option, arguing Ada had endangered their son, whether from ignorance or desperation. On the left, Mama Ada, wrapped in the same warm wrapper she wore at the hospital, now washed but faded, her hands clenched in prayer. Her lawyer, Kunle Lawal, didn't paint her as perfect. He painted her as human. She was abandoned, poor, uninformed, but she never stopped loving that boy. What she did was a mistake, not malice. Do we punish ignorance with separation? CPS recommended temporarily protective custody under foster care until further evaluation. Judge Osei sighed. "This case is unlike any I've seen. We have a loving but unfit mother, a reappearing father with no recent contact, and a child who flinched from the past." Before she could adjourn, a new voice rose in the courtroom. "I do like to testify." Hairs turned. It was Nurse Fola. Nurse Fola took the stand and cleared her throat. "I've watched Junior closely. His trauma is real. His silence is loud. But trauma doesn't mean he'll do better without his mother." She paused. "I lost a brother to chemical poisoning too. I blamed my mother for years, but she was trying to protect us, like other words, and we all paid for how no one taught her after ways." She took out a small notebook. "Junior drew this for me yesterday." She passed it to the court clerk, who handed it to the judge. Everyone watched as Judge Osei unfolded it slowly. It was another house, a boy in the middle, two figures at opposite sides. One the mother crying, the other the father smiling. But the boy had drawn a bridge between them. He had written, in a shaky letter. Please don't leave me alone again. The judge's hand trembled slightly as she folded the paper again. Judge Osei gives a verdict, but with a rare third option. Junior is placed somewhere unexpected. A moment of healing happens between Ada and John, but new tension rises. The public interest fades, but something in Junior's recovery sparks an unexpected hope. The court fell into a hush as Junior Rita O'Shea lifted her gaze from the drawing. "Thank you, Nurse Fola," she said softly. "Your testimony brings charity and weight." She turned to the parent. "This case is not simply about custody. It's about healing for the child and for the people who claim to love him." She paused, then leaned forward. The child's trauma is linked to his mother's action, but also to a system that failed her. The father's return is noble, but too sudden to be fully trusted. Neither of you has earned this child's future. Not yet. She looked at Junior's drawing one more time. "My ruling is this. Junior will not be placed with either parent for now." A gasp rippled through the courtroom. "He will remain under state protection, but in a supervised therapeutic family setting for 3 months. Both parents will undergo psychological evaluation and mandatory parental training. They will have to be monitored visitation after 3 months. A re-evaluation will determine reunification, either separately or, if progress is made, jointly." Silence. Then, as if a balloon deflated, the room exhaled. The mother had not lost, the father had not won. The child, for once, had been heard. The next day, Junior was moved to a quiet home run by a licensed trauma-informed foster couple. The woman, Auntie Chi, was gentle and playful, with eyes like light. The man, Uncle Toba, played guitar in the evening and let Junior strum along. They didn't ask too many questions. They just let him be. By the second week, Junior began to hum again. By the fourth, he started to draw pictures of the sun. His speech returned slowly, stuttering at first, but with surprising clarity. One afternoon, Auntie Chi walked into the living room to find him drawing again. She expected another house or monster, but this time it was two hands, one dark, one lighter, reaching towards each other across a bridge. "Who are these?" she asked. He looked up and smiled, the first serious smile since the incident. "Mommy and Daddy," he said. Ada and John begin their mandatory therapy, but confront painful truths about their past. Evelyn's media influence begins to wane, and she makes one last play to control the story. Gino says something to Auntie Chi that reveals what he remembered and what he's still afraid of. A new family secret surfaces, and one that could change custody permanently. The first joint therapy session between Ada and John was held in a modest counseling room just outside the courthouse. The air smelled of peppermint and pepper. They sat at opposite end of a couch like magnets flipped the wrong way. "I came back," John said. "I'm here now." "You came back when the story went viral," Ada muttered. "You abandoned us when we needed you most." The therapist, a calm woman named Dr. Tenny Aluko, didn't interrupt. John's jaw clenched. "I left because I was drowning, Ada. No job, no peace. And every time I saw Junior, I saw my failures. And I stayed." She shot back, eyes shining with nothing. "I stayed and I tried, even when trying to look like poison." Silence settled again. Then Dr. Aluko spoke. "You are both survivors of your own shame," she said. "But your son doesn't need survivor. He needs builders. If there is a bridge or rebuild, it starts with honesty." That evening, Auntie Chi found Junior drowning in the yard, sunlight casting golden patches across the page. He had drawn a child standing under a tree. On the branches were birds with human faces, watching him. She smiled. "That's new. What's happening here?" He stared at the pictures a long time, then whispered, "There were people in the house that night." A child passed through her. "What people, sweetheart?" Junior looked up, eyes wide. "Daddy was there before it happened." "What do you mean?" He paused, then began humming the tune of a song they hadn't taught him. Auntie Chi called CPS immediately. Across town, Miss Ini read the new report stunned.